Good morning everyone. Today we will study about the administrative system of Mansabdars and Jagirdars. So these two terms we are very important in the history of Mughal Empire, that Mansabdars and Jagirdars. As the empire expanded, we know that Mughal rulers expanding their kingdom or empire in large territories, north, east, south, western directions. They sent military campaigns and seized many of the regions. Here, when this empire was expanding it to encompass different regions, the Mughals recruited diverse bodies of people. And when the kingdom was very large, in order to administer these vast lands or distant places, they appointed many or recruited many of the people in the higher post, but they appointed from the different diverse people or different types of people. From a small nucleus of Turkish nobles, we know that Turanis and Turkish nobles were also very important, and they expanded to include Iranians, Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas and other groups. And earlier we know Turkish nobles were, or the Turanis or the Turkish nobles were given the higher positions or ranks in the administration. Now the Mughal rulers started expanding their, including the administrative positions given to the Iranians or the Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs and even Marathas also. So those who joined the Mughal service were enrolled as Mansabdars. So who were the officials in the Mughal service, all were known as Mansabdars. That means whoever joined the Mughal service. Okay. So this term Mansabdars refers to an individual who holds a Mansab, meaning a position or rank. That means who are called Mansabdar, who is known as Mansabdar, the person who holds a Mansab, which means a position or rank in the administration of the Mughal Empire. So there was a grading system used by the Mughals to fix the rank, salary and military responsibilities. According to the grading system, they provided the administrators rank, salary and military responsibilities also. Rank and salary were determined by the numerical value which was known as Zat. Okay. Rank and salary of this Mansabdar was determined by the Zat. The higher Zat, the more prestigious was the noble's position in the court and the larger his salary. If the person or the Mansabdar has the more number of Zat, so he will be getting a prestigious position in the Mughal court and his salary also will be very high. So how the nobles with a Zat of 5,000 were ranked higher than those of 10,000. Those who have 5,000 Zats are in the higher position. So you can find Akbar's period. During the reign of Akbar, there were 29 Mansabdars with a rank of 5,000 Zat. By Aurangzeb's period, this number of Mansabdars increased up to 79. That means you can imagine that when the number of Mansabdars are increasing, the government or the kings must be able to pay them higher salaries also. During the period of Akbar, 29 Mansabdars were there, but Aurangzeb's period it increased as 79. So that a large quantity or amount of revenue to be kept aside for paying salaries to these Mansabdars. Mansabdar's military responsibilities required him to maintain a specific number of Savar or cavalrymen. So Mansabdar, if he is having higher ranks, he must maintain a large number of army with him. That is called a Savar or cavalrymen. Cavalrymen or Savar, that means they soldiers with a horse. Okay, so that riding the horse they are engaged in a battle. So the Mansabdar brought his cavalrymen for review, got them registered and their horses branded and then received money to pay them a salary. So the Mansabdar who has cavalrymen or Savar and and he had to bring them the horse and even the his cavalrymen to the government, and also register their names and horses to be branded, and Mansabdar received salary for paying them, received a huge amount of money for paying salary to his cavalrymen. So these all were the responsibility of Mansabdars. Also Mansabdars received their salaries as a revenue assignment called Jagirs, which was somewhat like the Iktas. We know that the Delhi Sultans had Iktas, large areas of land was under the control of the Iktadar or Mukti. So Mukti had to maintain the expenditure. Mukti was given the land here, but here in given land in the Delhi Sultanate, but in Mughal Empire, Mansabdars received salaries as revenue assignments called Jagirs, but some difference we can find here. Unlike the Muktis, the Mansabdars did not actually reside on or administer their Jagir. Their Jagir or the land which was given to the Mansabdar, he was not staying there. But in case of Delhi Sultans, we know that Muktis or the Muktis lived in the same place where in their own lands, and they collected revenue from there. They had rights to collect the revenue. But here in the Mughal Empire, the Mansabdars did not have the right to collect the revenue from there. They only had the rights of the revenue of their assignments, which was collected for them by their servants. So here Mansabdars are not directly collecting the revenue from the Jagir which was given to him, and he only had to administer there, and the revenue or the taxes were collected by the servants of Mansabdars. But these Mansabdars had also collected whatever the revenue collected, they had to remit to the Sultan or the Emperor also. Now in Akbar's reign, we can find these Jagirs were carefully assessed or measured so that their revenue were also roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar. What Akbar did is, Akbar's administration we will study more in the coming classes, how Akbar carefully measured the land of each Jagir, and whatever the revenue collected from each Jagir should be equal to the salary of the Mansabdar, so that the Mughal Empire or the Emperor may not have additional burden to pay the salary to the Mansabdar. But Aurangzeb's reign, this was no longer in the case of actual revenue collected was often less than the granted sum. That means in case of Aurangzeb, what was the revenue collected from the Jagir was insufficient for paying the salary to the Mansabdars also. So there was also a huge increase in the number of Mansabdars, which meant a long wait before they received a Jagir. So that also large number of, we have studied already, there were 79 Mansabdars. So when Mansabdars number increased, it was also for a long time they had to wait for receiving Jagirs also. These also the burden of paying salary to the Mansabdars also was very high during the period of Aurangzeb. So that these and other factors created a shortage in the number of Jagirs also. As a result, many Jagirdars tried to extract as much as revenue as possible while they had a Jagir. Now the Jagirdars who had Jagir, they began to exploit their power. Also those who had the Jagir, they began to exploit, and they collected more and more revenue or taxes from the people or peasants from their own Jagir. So Aurangzeb was unable to control these developments in the last years of his reign, and the peasantry therefore suffered tremendously. That means all these Jagirdars become more powerful, and they were Aurangzeb was unable to control these Jagirdars. So that rebellion also taking place against Aurangzeb during his rule. That's all for today. Tomorrow we will study about the Zabt and Zemindars. What is the difference or what is the importance of Zabt and Zemindars?